What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be checking out the Transformers Legacy Evolution Animated Universe Deluxe Class Prowl. This is one that I've been really excited for. You know, it's the big 15th anniversary of Transformers Animated this year, and Hasbro is celebrating it by bringing animated back, this time in the form of kind of these mashups. You know, we've got a animated Prowl that looks as if though he should have been in the original G1 series, and I actually really like this guy, despite not being too impressed with their kind of mashups previously, such as the Prime Universe RC. You guys will know how much I dislike that. I think this guy, and definitely the Transformers Prime Skyquake that we recently took a look at, is a perfect balance between the old and the new. I mean, first of all, if we compare this brand new figure to the actual character design of Prowl back in animated, I think they've carried over some of the key design assets. I mean, immediately this guy's recognizable, and for the most part, I love everything about the design besides the handlebars. I'm not too sure why they couldn't have found a way to have stowed them away in the chest, much like the original toy, and even the concept art of this guy shows them being in the chest, so it is quite a bizarre design choice to have them here. I imagine there was some kind of reason behind it, but really nice details here for kind of these back fins. I mean, we get some wicked metallic silver looking vents, a lot of gold trim around this guy as well, especially here for the ears. I think the head sculpt looks fantastic. I mean, yes, it's slightly more chubby and chunky when in comparison to how he was back in the day, but he still has got that chin, so I like that they carried that over. Really vibrant glossy blue visor, that looks sick, and I mean, just all over, very nicely painted. We get kind of these arrows here for the shoulders, some more nice golden details on that forearm guard, and he still retains the kind of cockpit or the windscreen of the bike mode slap bang and center in the chest. So I thought that was a pretty nice attention to detail. Overall, very nicely sculpted and painted here for the legs. We still have the wheels here in the shins, which is really cool, and the foot design is also pretty sleek and elegant. And as we come around to the back, not much back kibble, much like that original animated figure. Now, if you didn't like the seat being folded out this way, you can compress it, although personally, I don't think it looks that great, so I do like to just keep it down. Now, articulation-wise, this is definitely where you're going to see some of the major improvements when in comparison to the past kind of 2008 version. So we get a wicked ball joint. I mean, that head literally can look up all of the way. It can look down, it can tilt side to side slightly, as well as rotate left to right. We get some hinge joints out of the shoulders, as well as out to the sides. Nice bicep rotation, single jointed elbows. Sadly, nothing out of the wrist, but we do get an uncompromised waist joint. And due to transformation, I guess a slight ab crunch. I mean, it is very slight. I'm literally pushing things here, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely there. We get some nice hip joints, which can kick forwards that far, so still quite an agile character, much like he was back in the day. They can also kick back to that far, out to the sides. Nice thigh rotation, 90-degree bend here at the knee, and pop, there goes his Evo Fusion gimmick. And then finally, as we come here to the feet, these can pivot forwards and backwards due to transformation and rock slightly side to side. So yeah, overall, definitely a solid deluxe. Nothing's loose. Everything does hold on, for the most part, pretty well. So let's discuss Evo Fusion and his accessories. So much like the original animated Prowl, this guy comes with some kind of shuriken wheel covers. And I'm going to be honest, these are probably the weakest part about the figure, and it's just the engineering that has gone into them I don't think is as great as the original version. So as you can see, here it is just kind of a basic wheel cover. You basically take the bottom half and the top half and swivel it, and it is supposed to shoot out these three spikes. But on my copy, on both of them, it's pretty much stuck, so you do kind of have to help it on its way by prying them past the tiny ratchet joints. Now, this could just be an issue on my copy, but I don't know, guys. If you manage to pick one of these up, let me know down in the comment section below. But what's supposed to happen is you're going to swivel it, and these are supposed to open, but this one is pretty much stuck. I mean, it looks cool as a shuriken, you know, I can't deny that. It does look pretty sweet, but yeah, they should have reworked this to, you know, better match the original toy, in my opinion. It can be held in either hand, although it fits better in this one, as there's actually kind of a designated slot for it, so you can have Prowl charging into battle with these shurikens. Let's just quickly showcase if this one works a little better. So like I said previously, you're supposed to just take the bottom half and the top half, and yeah, that one works a little better. So as you can see, the three prongs will eject outwards, so that's pretty cool. This one is kind of a mech tech hole, so won't grip it in as well as the other side, but I imagine, you know, with a bit of patience, you can definitely get it stuck in there. Now, in terms of some comparisons, here we have the new Legacy Prowl on the left and the old animated version on the right, and I'm just going to be straight up with you guys. Like I've said in some of those retro reviews, I really think these animated figures are top tier. I mean, even by today's standards, this thing still holds up impeccably well, but in terms of kind of the Universe and G1 mashup, this actually isn't too bad at all, especially when I bring out some of the other comparisons in just a second. I mean, near enough all of the design pieces that were on this guy end up on this one. It's just a little more chunky, with the exception of those handlebars. Again, I really don't know why they couldn't have found a way to have stuck them in the chest or the windscreen, much like the original version, but this is what they both look like from a back. So definitely not a bad update at all. Here he is compared alongside the Legacy Prime Universe RC, and I mean, this figure unfortunately is a prime example of what not is a good mashup. I mean, this animated Prowl is just way more faithful to the source material when in comparison to this figure, and you know, they're both kind of bikes. They do transform into bikes, and I think just as a whole, Prowl manages the kibble a lot better. But again, I mean, you guys let me know down in the comment section below, what do you guys think of this latest mashup? Here is the Armada Universe Hotshot, the Evo Fusion Junkion Scraphook, so definitely pretty decently sized deluxe class. Studio Series 86 Voyager class Ironhide, Netflix Deluxe class Volkswagen Bumblebee, and the most important comparison of them all, the Earthrise Optimus Prime. Now, turning to transformation for animated Prowl, to kickstart things off with, you're just going to want to take the hands, compress them into these hollow cavities, and do the same here for this side. I then recommend to make sure the head is smack bang in center, and then we can just hinge it back slightly, as when we rotate this entire windscreen upwards, it just allows for enough clearance. So what you'll then want to do is come around here to the back, take the seat, just hinge it up to get it out of the way, and rotate the waist so that the windscreen lines up here with the foot, which does not have the kickstand attached. So make sure you've got it like that. We can then take the thigh, rotate this like that, and then do the same here for this side. So that is how the legs should be looking. We can now come up here to these back sections, pull these down, and when you reach, I'd say roughly to this point, we can now take the handlebars and flip these sections upwards. With that done, it should allow for enough clearance so we can bring this here all the way up and over, and what's going to happen is the head is just going to shoot backwards, and if it begins to get a little stuck, you know, just take the chin, pull that down slightly, and then push it all the way back so that the speedometers end up roughly where this gold piece is. So that is kind of your guide of how everything should line up. We can now take the waist piece, pull this section down, which will allow for enough clearance for us to straighten out the shoulders, bring these gold pieces back, and do the same here for this side, and just combine the two halves. Now, to be fair, on my copy, they don't really clip in as nicely as I'd like, but I mean, it gets the job done, I guess. We can now make sure we bring these back. These little tabs here are going to peg into these slots, so snap that one in and do the exact same here for this side, so snap that there into place. I'd then personally recommend working on this leg first, so you're going to want to bend here at the knee all of the way, and just then take this grey piece. This will hinge back separately, and what's going to happen is basically the foot is going to slide into this little cutout. So there you go, that is roughly how everything should look so far. Make sure that's pulled forward, and now we can work on this one. So bend here at the knee pad is going to slide into a tiny little slot here. Unfortunately, it doesn't really tab in, which is a bit of a shame, but it will just kind of soft rest there into place. We can now hinge the foot down, take the kickstand, and I'd recommend to eject this first, as if you want to do it afterwards, it's just going to be way harder. So these two tabs are going to peg into these two slots. This can also be a little fiddly to do, so make sure you've got a grip of the hip and the thigh, as we just solely want to rotate this joint. So just slide that section in, slide that one in, making sure that everything is lined up properly, and bang, there is the Legacy Animated Universe Deluxe Prowl transformed up into the bike mode. And I mean, I did quite like the robot mode, but I've got to be honest guys, some of this does look a little jumbled. In particular would be the whole back, which we'll talk about in just a second. But I mean, simple enough transformation. The front of the bike looks really cool. I really like how the foot kind of stows away here in the front of the windscreen. That's some pretty sweet engineering, and the paintwork, much like in robot mode, looks really cool. I like kind of the white backing that we have here for the Autobot logo. The front part of the bike looks super cool with this piece, but I just wish maybe there was a better way they could have tidied this up, especially as the original 2008 version is so clean looking. It's a shame that the new 2023 version is definitely a little bit of a downgrade, unfortunately. We do get the kickstand, which I mean, you can just hinge upwards if you don't like it, but I like to deploy it as it helps kind of stand him up better in this form. We get the speedometers, which of course is made out of the back of the head. Some nice detail here. I thought that was pretty cool, and you can see we get two different types of colored plastic for the light bar, so red and blue, and the wheels do actually roll pretty nicely. You know, if you make sure you close those shuriken blades up, you shouldn't have any problems. A few times when I've transformed this, in particular the back, the shurikens do kind of like to get caught. You can see here, as you can see, that does get caught, and then it just starts expanding, and if he was actually driving down the highway, he'd probably kind of derode himself and knock himself off. So again, I do wish maybe those shurikens could have been designed a little better, but that is the bike mode. This is what it looks like from the top, the side, the underside, the back, and the front. So first up, we have the Legacy Evolution version on the left and the original animated release on the right. Now there's roughly, give or take, 15 years between the two releases, and I've got to be honest with you guys, I think the original 2008 version is vastly superior in bike mode. I mean, just check out the rear of the bike. Nothing is too obvious, you know, everything for the most part conceals really nicely, and it is just a sharp looking vehicle mode, whereas unfortunately with this one, it looks clunky, it looks untidy, and this is just a complete mess. I've got to be honest with you, I mean, you compare it, look, it really is night and day difference, and considering this is a 2023 release, costs double what this did back in the day, I'm more than certain there was a way for them to have maybe stowed some of this junk inside this, much like the original version did. And you know, even when you compare it alongside the Prime Universe RC, a figure which, let's be honest, I don't have too many nice things to say about it, but this, without a doubt, has a vastly superior bike mode when in comparison to this one. So, you guys let me know down in the comment section below, you know, am I being too harsh or are my points valid? Now, turning to reverse transformation to kickstart things off, you're literally going to want to kick up the kickstand just like that. We can then come here to the underside and just disengage those tabs and slots from the foot, and of course from these side pieces. We can then fold the foot up into kind of that cavity and then extend that all up. Take the hip joint, bring this section down, extend the knee out, and just rotate here at the thigh. We can then come here to this one and just gently kind of wriggle that foot out of this piece. So just bring this down. Much like the opposite side, fold the foot down and then rotate here at the thigh. We can now take these pieces, bring these sections here backwards, and much like we did when going from robot into bike mode, you're going to want to take the handlebars and just make sure that those two are hinged upwards. We can now come here to the arms, bring these sections all the way out, rotate here at the waist, and then bring this section back until it does actually click into place just like that. You'll then want to rotate to the side as we're now going to bring this entire assembly down. So just bring this here all the way down. The head can be a little annoying, so if it does block it, you know, just try your best to flick it backwards so there's enough clearance for us to then push past this whole section. So just shoot this here all the way around, then rotate at the waist, and then these tiny little tabs are going to peg into these slots. So snap those in there. Much like I said previously, it's up to you guys whether or not you want the seat kind of flat along the side of the butt, or if you want to hinge it up, let me know down below. And then for some finishing touches, we just take the hands, flip those out of the hollow cavities, take the head, straighten it out, and bang, there is the animated universe Prowl back in his robot mode. And so, wrapping up on this review for the Transformers Legacy animated universe Prowl. Overall, I'd say there are definitely more positives than negatives. I mean, straight away, the robot mode is way more faithful when in comparison to some of those past kind of G1 mashups that we've seen, such as the Prime RC, Prime Bulkhead, etc. It really does seem more along the lines of what we saw from the Prime Skyquake, where it was a good blend of the old and the new, and I think the robot mode looks wicked. Articulation is fantastic. I think the design for the most part is nice, with the exception of the handlebars just kind of jutting out of the back. I'm definitely certain there was a more elegant, cleaner way to have stowed those away. Transformation is simple enough. I mean, if you own the original animated version, you'll know more or less exactly what to expect. And then we get to the bike mode, which unfortunately is definitely the weakest aspect about the figure. I mean, from the front it looks good, but as soon as you turn it to the side, yeah, it is pretty ugly, I'm not gonna lie, guys. And even when you compare it to the 15-year-old animated deluxe version, this new one definitely does pale in comparison, in my opinion. I do think there was maybe a better way that they could have cleaned up some of that junk, but if you're after an animated Prowl, you know, with updated articulation and one that would be better to scale with some of your more contemporary figures, then this one definitely isn't a bad one to pick up. And in terms of animated figures, if this is the direction they're going to be taking them in, then I'm absolutely all for it. I just hope they can have slightly cleaner alt modes. I'd love to get your thoughts down in the comment section below. Do you guys agree with my points? Do you disagree? What do you think of this latest animated entry? And until my next video, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.